You're now live.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening, everybody. Stuart Hogg with you. This is for immediate use. Following Stuart will be head coach Gregor Townsend. But Gregor will do a very short Monday section as well. So immediate use, Stuart, is now yours. Thank you.
Stuart, just describe to us what this victory, this display, and winning at Twickenham for the first time for Scotland since 1983 means to you.
That means a huge deal to us all. I think during the week we kind of looked at, if we got everything right, both sides of the ball, we give ourselves every opportunity to come down here and win it. And today we've done exactly that. I thought we were at a clinical edge in our attack, and defensively we fronted up. And anytime England were attacking us, we stood firm and had a lot of dominant collisions. So I'm incredibly proud of the boys' efforts, and now we get excited about the next challenge.
There was a moment shown on the broadcast after the final whistle goes, and you're kind of down on your haunches and kind of shaking your head and taking it all in. Can you tell us what was going through your mind? What sort of emotions were going on there?
Just incredibly proud of the boys. I think during the week, as I said, we believed as individuals, and we believed as a collective that we can come down here and win, and we kept that to ourselves, which was incredible for us. But I felt we were calm and in control of the whole game. Finn and Ali drove us around the field really well. Jamie and the rest of the defensive boys worked incredibly hard for us. So I think we put it down to a huge squad effort. We've had 30-odd boys within this camp over the last couple of weeks, and we've enjoyed each other's company. We've worked incredibly hard in the training field, and believed in each other. And ultimately, that's the reason why we're in this position. But yeah, I think now, don't get me wrong, we'll enjoy tonight, but come Monday we'll get back on the horse and ready to go, because next week is another challenge for us, and one that we're excited about.
Last one from me. Did you feel that you could have got yourselves further ahead on the scoreboard, and how difficult was it to keep the nerves out as a result of that?
As I said, I felt really, really calm. I believed in the boys' ability. I think, Finn and Ali brought a huge amount of calmness to the way that we were playing, and the rest of the boys were actually excited about the opportunities. And the way that we were speaking to each other was huge for us. I think we were really positive in everything that we were doing, and that's something we've worked hard on over the last little while. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't perfect, but that's the exciting thing, is we can still improve, and we'll get excited about that.
Stuart, you've been part of some big Scotland victories in the past, be it in the Six Nations or in autumn internationals as well. Where does this rank in terms of, is it possibly your proudest moment in a Scotland jersey?
It's definitely up there. I think for me, I had a huge amount of belief within the boys to come down here and win, and the way that we were speaking to each other throughout the whole kind of last couple of weeks and today, I felt we were in control throughout the kind of 60 of the 80 minutes. Even when we came in at half time, obviously Finn in the bin, we were still calm. We still had a huge influence on what we were doing. Gregor spoke really well at half time. We knew exactly what we were doing going into the second half, and we executed it to the best of our abilities. And we're chuffed to bits with that.
Stuart, you were brought up in the Borders. You're steeped in Scottish history. How does it feel on a personal level, from the point of view that you join Roy Laidlaw, Peter Dodds, I think, played in your position in '83? Surely that gives it an extra bit of meaning as well.
I'm a proud Scotsman, like the rest of the boys that were involved in today's game. And as I said earlier, we truly believed that we could come down here and win, and to have actually done it is an unbelievable feeling. And as I said, we'll enjoy it. We'll enjoy these. We'll live in the moment. We'll enjoy it for the next kind of 24 hours or so. And we'll get excited about our next challenge. It's one thing being able to win a game. It's another thing being able to back it up and go again next week. So I think this is the kind of third or fourth time in 20 years that Scotland have won the first game in the Six Nations. So we've got a lot of work to do.
Cheers, Stuart. Well done.
Hoggy, what does that result in performance say in terms of a statement of this side's ability to launch a genuine title challenge this year?
I think it was just our ability as individuals and as a collective. We knew we could come down here and win if we got it right. In terms of going forward, we'll look ahead to the Wales game now. I think the exciting thing for us now is when we look back at this game, we'll see that there was a few opportunities that we probably let go. And and where we can improve, which is exciting for us. And we look to make amends and get ready, get excited about taking on Wales next week.
Sure, there won't be many teams who go to Twickenham and enjoy almost 2/3 possession. I mean, from watching on, it certainly felt as though you guys were determined to play the game on your terms and dictate things to England.
Yeah, I think the focus point for us was very much on the first 20 minutes of the game and making sure that we fronted up physically, both sides of the ball. And we done that. And I knew, going into the game, if we got that right, we'd grow in confidence. And going into half-time, as I say, we were kind of under the pump ever so slightly, but we talked again about the next kind of quarter of the game being massive for us, and we grew and we grew and we grew as the game went on, and that was really pleasing to see. And boys were listening to the messages that were coming on, listening to the game plan that we've tried to implement throughout the last couple of weeks, and we enjoyed executing it. We enjoyed being a part of each other's company and fronting up for Scotland. And we talked a lot about the last couple of weeks of lifting a nation, and I believe we've done that today.
Thanks. Last question for Stuart, please. Okay, thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Best media performance as well.
Okay, open to questions for Gregor Townsend then, please.
Gregor, where does that stand in the great scheme of life? I mean, that's history making. 83, guys like Laidlaw, Peter Dodds. Where does that stand in your career?
Yeah, look, I'm very aware of the history. I came down here a number of times as a player and a coach, and not came away with anything. So it's got to be up there with our best ever result in our history, and certainly in my playing and coaching career. I still go back to 3 years ago. Well, I beat Murrayfield just because of the crowd and the atmosphere and the way the players played. But today they were outstanding too, and really tricky conditions. I don't know if that came out in the television, but it was wet the whole game and really heavy rain in the second half. So to win in these conditions against a very good side with that right record they have here is a fantastic achievement from the group of players.
Thanks, Gregor.
Gregor, it's been a rocky year since the World Cup. Does that feel a bit like vindication?
No, this is 2021. So, look, we all enjoyed last year. You learn in defeats. You grow as a team in adversity, and we've had moments, whether it was the World Cup, whether it was after the World Cup and before the World Cup. That's how you get shaped as a group of players and coaches. And today, I think a lot of our success was down to what happened in Dublin. We came in at half-time in Dublin, having played really well our last game, but picked up a yellow card just before half-time. So to be able to reference that and having already reviewed that and how we can improve from that, it was so good to see the players play really well during that yellow card period. I think we ended up winning 3-0. And then the boost when you get back to 15 against 15 for the final 35 minutes was great for our team.
Gregor, can you talk about just the maturity of the performance as well? Not necessarily just the result, but the construction of it and the real game intelligence behind it. It was a really kind of composed and poised performance.
There was, and it wasn't just one way of playing. There was a lot of variety in how we played, and that was working out. Where we were having success, where maybe the opposition weren't going as well, and being accurate. So there was leaders right through that team today. You think of that, we think of the attack, and you think obviously Finn leading the attack, but he had leaders alongside him, and Stuart at 15, Ali inside him, and the defensive side of it, Chris Harris and Jamie Ritchie in charge of that. And then in the line-out, I thought Scott Cummings had a fantastic game against probably the best line-out in the world. So the calling was really good. We put a lot of pressure on their line-out too, stole a couple, didn't give them quality ball. So that gives us a lot of encouragement, not just the result today, but the fact that players stepped up and controlled the performance.
Can you remember what your 9-year-old self was doing in March 1983? Did you watch the game at home, or can you remember that far back?
No, 84. I remember that season, watching all the games for the Grand Slam year. Maybe wiped out 83. I know what I was doing in 93, which was not playing very well in my debut. So it was a much better debut for Cam Redpath than I had back in 93, that's for sure.
Gregor, can we just have a word on Cam Redpath, please? And it seemed like a really composed, calm performance from him. How do you appraise his Test debut?
I thought that was an incredible debut. To come into a squad that you've not trained with before, to meet players for the first time, and then integrate into our way of playing and getting used to those players. We saw his skill set, his confidence, his maturity. We've seen that in games with Bath, and we've seen that in training, but you don't expect someone on their debut to have such an accomplished start when you're just new into the team. Against England of all teams, against in a place where we've not won for so long. But he was excellent. He got on ball a lot in the first half, which I think helped him. And he did well when he got on ball. Some really good carries, really good passes. And then he secured an excellent jackal penalty for us in the second half. So he's shown his competitiveness, he's shown his skill, and it's really exciting what he can achieve in his career and what we can do with him over the next few years.
Thank you. We'll just move on to the Monday section. So this next part is in Bargo, 10 p.m. Sunday evening. Thank you.
Gregor, how much of anything will you need to do to make sure the players keep their feet on the ground on Monday when they start preparing for Wales?
Yeah, I think Hoggy mentioned that in the huddle to the players already. We've mentioned it, but we've got a couple of days before we get our feet back on the ground. We want to enjoy the moment. These don't come around very often, and I'm hoping that people in Scotland in their living rooms, because it won't be in rugby clubs, I don't think they will be anyway, are enjoying it with their families. We've had Brian Redpath on the families of the new caps, Cam's mum and dad, and also Dave Cherry's. So it was actually great seeing them on Zoom. That they've had a great day, and I can just picture everybody else throughout Scotland. The start of Six Nations, having saltires painted their faces, a drink at their hand, enjoying this victory. So we're going to enjoy it. It's a really tight group. We've seen the guys come together really well the last couple of weeks. But we know we've now got an opportunity that we've seldom had in the Six Nations, which is building on a week one victory. It's a quick turnaround, the first to second game, and we're going to be well prepared for Wales. And that'll be our focus come Monday morning.
Thanks, Gregor.
Gregor, any team that wins at Twickenham will be considered up there with the favourites for the title. So how do you cope with that? Because as you say, this has been an unusual situation for us. We're usually recovering after round one.
Yeah, look, I don't think we'll be the favourites for the title. We certainly won't want any the favourites going into today's game for just this one-off game, never mind the championship. And France now, I'm sure everybody will be picking them for the favourites. So we've got to work on what we've done coming into this tournament, which has improved from our last campaign, and we'll have to improve from today. There's a lot of good things to build on, but there's still a couple of areas we'll have to improve, because the Six Nations are 5 one-off games against some great teams. We know Wales will be very good next week.
Last question, please.
Gregor, that really tightly controlled phase play, was that specifically designed for England, or is that something that you'll employ against Wales as well, do you think?
I think it became a bit more weather influenced. So we did have a couple of opportunities in the first half to move the ball wide, and we had obviously a kick to Duan from Finn that almost led to a try, but because of the weather and because of our opposition defence, it was tighter. And it was pleasing to see that guys like Duan got on ball a lot. It wasn't just the forwards that were carrying. Cam Redpath had a couple of good close carries, but the work of the forwards was excellent. Xander would be double figures carries, Johnny Gray too. So we knew we had to get players off the bench with the fatigue that must have set in. And I was really pleased with them back the bench mate too.
Gregor, Jamie Ritchie came off. Is he okay? And is there any other injuries, concerns?
No, look, he was just tightening up a bit. He obviously hasn't played that much rugby. So both him and Sean Maitland were just feeling a bit tightness in their lower body. But no, hopefully they're both okay come next week.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.